Hey everyone, welcome to JS Cafe, and in today's video we are going to talk about the React compound pattern. So without wasting any time, let's get started. So basically, before jumping into what React compound pattern is, let me show you about this tabs component in the material UI. So I think you need to search for tab component in React on Google, and this would take you to material UI website, and where you will find about that this is a tab component they have, right? And in this particular tab component, if you notice, you'll see a box, right? So a tab component is basically this, that you have multiple tabs, and based upon the tab selected, the content actually changes inside, right? So for that to implement in React, and if you are using material UI, you need to have import this thing box from material UI, and you have to use this tabs tag, and inside the tabs tag you have to have a tab component that would actually act as a label for your tabs, and all of these contents, right, item 1, item 2 and item 3, you have to write them inside the tab panel component. So you see that this particular architecture of tab is kind of different, right? So we have a concept of components within components, and all of these components are actually taking part to build up this particular tab panel for us, right? So what this is what compound pattern is. So let me take you to the definition and explain. So what compound pattern is: so multiple components come together to serve a common functionality. Think of select tag, where select tag and the option tag jointly help us create drop downs. Okay. And think of this compound pattern be very helpful in creating UI components, because if you see the particular example over here, you can see that if you want to introduce any tab, actually you just need to add one more component, and there you go, you will have one more tab inside. So this is like kind of a very scalable approach. Let's suppose in future you want to introduce any other component apart from this, right? Let's say in future you want to introduce a cross icon. Okay. So that would be really easy, right? You just need to import one you just need to create one more component inside the box, and label it as cross and whatever you want, and write the UI, write the logics, and there go, you have the cross icon here, right? This kind of approach is very scalable for UI. This helps us actually introduce new features into the component at the later stages, and simultaneously this is very easy to use as well. So this definition, I think, is totally justified, that multiple components come together to serve a common functionality. As you can see that there are multiple components: box, tabs, tab panel. They all are coming together to create this whole component for us, right? A tab panel. So this is what the definition actually is of compound pattern. And if you are familiar with HTML, which you are of course, then you might resemble it with the select tag, where you the select tag and the option tag jointly help us create the drop downs, right? Multiple select drop downs. So this is where this compound pattern comes into the picture. So we are going to create this tab component from scratch, right, using this compound pattern. And and for that we are actually going to need help of the React context API. I am sure you are aware of that. If you are not, then get pause this video, get an idea what the context API is, and then come back to this particular video. Okay. So React context API, again, this helps us to uh, allow the children components access the states without actually have us to prop del everything to the child, right? So like passing components to children becomes very easier when we are using the context APIs. So this was overall gist of what context API is gonna play a role in this particular pattern. And common use cases include select, drop down components, and menu items. So whether you are dealing with such kind of UI items that you have to create in a design system, then probably you should go for this compound pattern. And this is actually very scalable, and this is going to help you very much in your project. So enough of talking. Now let's dive into the code. Okay. So here we are. Let's get rid of this. Okay. Now I'll create first of all the tab component for us. This would be tab, and for the mentions, we are not gonna follow this structure exactly as it is. We are gonna think of implementing our structure and get it working. So we'll actually create things from scratch here, and we'll implement our structure. So we are going to need a function for called export default function. Okay. Tab going to children, and in this children we are going to return some JS. And before returning the tab function, we need to create. Let's create the context API. So we'll create const tab context context created for us, and we are going to return a div. The div, what we are going to do, we are going to actually um do tab context dot provider, and we are going to pass some value, and whatever children was present, we are pass them as it is. So okay, the value is empty there. Okay, so if you have a close look at this tab component has the value, and it has a on change, right? And the value is actually the index. So if you see index 0 1 2, and the tabs are also mapped to a particular index that is actually 0 1 2. So if we have the value set to 0, then it means that it is pointing to index 0, and tab 0, which is the tab 1, should be active for us. Okay, tab with index 0, that is actually tab 1 for us, should be active. And let's suppose the value of the value variable changes to 1, then the tab number 2 should be active, and so on. Okay, this is the scenario. And this particular component is actually having a property on change, which actually help us to change the value of this a variable. Okay, so on change we are actually receiving the tab id, for example, which tab id was clicked, and we are going to set the value to that particular id, and so that the mapped tab id becomes active in the UI. Okay, so this is the approach which we are going to follow in this, and let us see if this is helpful for us. So let us go ahead, and we need two things actually. We need a current tab. Okay, and we need on change. We have these values here, and what we are going to do is we are going to pass these values, current tab, on change, as the values. Okay, and let's import this tab for now. Import tab from, and let's write this tab code. Okay, okay, So this is working fine for now. So we have got this tab component, and let write this. We have done the formatting, and we have this particular thing. Now let us go ahead and create rest of the components, right? We need to have a component that can actually add us the tabs, and we need one more component to show the content for that particular tab index. So what we are going to do is that in this part, we are going to do tab dot um, heads heads container. Heads container is equal to, we are going to get the children, and we are going to return a div, and we are going to children. So let me tell you what this thing is actually doing for us. So if we do, uh, okay, so if we actually do tab dot, you actually see that the head container pops up in the suggestion. Okay, and if we do tab container like this, right, and if we go ahead and write our hello inside this tab container, right, so this would change nothing actually. Okay, so this tab container is actually just a container for multiple tabs, and each tab head actually, so by tab head I mean by this value. Okay, these are the tab heads. So we are going to do tab dot item, and we are going to do children. Okay, let's just copy this thing, and this is a tab item, and let's now go ahead to tab dot item, tab dot item, and this would be actually a self-closing tag with a label as a prop. Okay? And this would say tab 1, and the index of this particular tab is should be 0. Yeah. And so if we go on write this 2 3, or if we want we can change index to 2 and 3, that would track, and let's save it. And in this part, in the item, we actually get label, and we are also getting the index. So let's have it, and let's render the fish. We have tab 1 2 3 working perfectly fine. So what up till now, so what we have done is we have done a very simple thing, that we have created some containers for us. Okay, this is the head container, which is just a div tag, and we are rendering whatever children we have. And again, we have an item that is again is inside the head container as a child, and this item is just a div tag, and we are rendering our label prop. Okay, label prop, we have passed it over here, and this is the index stating that this tab item is having this particular index. Okay, now moving ahead, let's actually create the container for us. So this container is actually the content container, right? This is the content container, and this content container is, just the overall wrapper for a container. And tab dot content item is what would contain our content for the items. Okay, so content item, whatever is having inside it. So let's go ahead and just quickly write it. So we have tab dot tab dot close this, and inside this we tab got content item. Okay, and this would be one thing one. Okay, and also we have to tell what is the index this content is pointing to. Change 2 3, and we also have an index prop. So we have, okay, so up till far we have generated the basic skeleton for our tabs, and next we what we are going to do is we are going to add some css to make it look good. Time to write some css for it. So we are having this tab heads container, and we have the tab, and also we have to pass some values, right? So for us it has to be const current tab x set in. Let us say that the current index active is 1. Okay, now what we have to do is we have to go here and check what was the props we were receiving in the tabs component. So it was current tab. So tab be equal to current tab index, and we have a on change as well. So on change equals to would be handle change function. Okay, so we go function const handle change, and in this we are going to pass uh, to a set index, and we are also going to uh, get the new index as the proper parameters. Okay, and we are going to set it to new index, and we are going to pass handle change as it is. Okay, now this a basic setup has been done. Now it's time to write some css for us. So for that we'll create a new file and name it as tab.css, and in tab.css let us first import it over here. Import dot slash tab.css, and let us give this right. So this is our main container, okay, the tab container, and this is the heads container. Okay, so uh so by default I want okay, so this by default I want to give it a class of tab, and I want to tell that my tab should have a border of 1 pixel solid black. Okay, this is okay, and now also one more thing, I have to rid of all the margin and padding. So margin padding, this was the tab and the heads container, right? So heads container, we will give it a class name as uh same as the name of the component, that is heads container. Okay, this is the heads container. This is my heads container, and this heads container is actually will be a display flex. Refresh it. Okay, and justify content space evenly. Okay, and yeah, so let's come to the items. Class name, item, item, and this particular item, right? So each is having a background color, let's say red. Yeah, refresh it, and they have a width of 100%, and simultaneously they have padding of 10. Okay, so this is looking good so far. And now let's come to the this was the item, right? And one more thing, that color should be okay, perfect. And if the tab is active, right, active, will implement this. I want the background color to be changed to brown. Okay, so this scenario will actually implement it later. For now, let's leave it as it is. And coming back to the content container, right? So name container with a C, and for the specifics, I want the background color to be grayish. Okay, and let's add some padding of texels to make it good. Okay, this looks good. So we are done with the basic UI syntaxing, and now here comes the functionality part. So we are close to achieving our feature. All we need to do is play around with current tab on change and other stuffs and add some logic. Okay. So this is our head container, right? And this is our item. So if the item is supposed to become active when the index, right, and the current tab are equal. So if you see that the tab dot item, we are actually stating that this particular tab has an index of 1, right? So if the value of current tab index is equal to 1, then make mark this tab as active and show this particular content. Okay, this particular content, right? So this is what exactly we are going to implement it, and we are going to make sure that if the value of current tab index, that is current tab prop, is equal to the value of the index property in the tab dot item component, then the value should be active. So we change the property over here, and for us to get the value of current tab, we actually need to do one thing. So we are actually going to destructure it, current tab, and on change, and we are going to do use context, and we are going to pass this tab context. Okay, and upon changing it, right, on click, we are going to call a function, say const click function, and we are going to call the on change function index. Okay, refresh, and this is going to change. Okay, and one more thing, that we need to make the cursor as pointer to make it feel better. Nothing is changing for now, but the moment we add the active class over here, and all of this is suddenly going to make sense. So if I say um current tab equals to index, then active, else give, see, this is working all of a sudden, and this is actually looking good. The only thing we need to add is that if, yeah, so we need to grab the current tab from here, it over here, don't need on change, and current tab, if current tab equals to the index again over here, and show this otherwise. Okay, saying unexpected token once current. Oh, okay. Yeah. So tab 2, tab 3, tab 1, tab 2, and tab just fine, right? So this was how we achieved the tab panel functionality, and it was just a code for a few minutes, and it took nearly just 42 lines to achieve it. So this was, I think, very great use case for all of us, right? We were able to implement this tab functionality, and have a look at the implementation. This is so clean and super reusable and scalable, right? So via this approach, we can introduce many more things in this component, and we also learn how we can utilize the compound approach to create such a nice design patterns to make the UI components. And yeah, so this was all in this video. So the like target of this video is 50 likes, and if you see that the likes are less than 50, then go ahead and smash that like button. And happy to take up any questions. If you have one, please do post that in the comments. And yeah, that was all in this video. Till then, take care, goodbye, see you in the next one.